And I tell them this is extremely bad. And two pieces of advice I'll share with all of you, because many of you look like you either are or could become young parents yourselves. Number one, when you ask, how can I get my kid to read? The first question is to ask yourself, am I reading enough too? Because if you don't set the example, the child will not want to follow. If the child comes and sees the parents reading at home in the evenings, the child too will think this is worth emulating. All children start off wanting to emulate their parents. They may become critical of their parents later in life, but in this impressionable age, that's very important. The second thing is to make sure that children see reading not as an imposition or a punishment or a chore or a task, but rather as a source of pleasure. I remember saying to one young mother, I said, what is your child interested in? Her son was not reading at all. He was 11 or 12 years old. And she said, he loves only football. So I said, get him books on football. Once he realizes, especially when it's raining or friends are not available to play with or whatever, that he can actually enter the world of football without actually being able to kick a ball somewhere, he will discover the joys of reading about football. Through reading about football, he will discover the joys of reading. And it may be that he'll start out with a book full of photographs of famous footballers and little bits of text, but that text is important to understand the photograph or the accounts of previous games or the records of previous games. And then from there, once he realizes that reading unlocks so many gates to him, he might then be in a position to go on to other books. And remind him periodically that when there is no electricity, or when his phone has run out of battery, or whatever it is, or maybe if you've been sensible parents, you will deny him a mobile phone until he's at least 16. But you will force him to say, look, in this time, the only thing you can, habit of reading is inculcated, you will then develop, I believe, the taste for serious reading. So I'm very, very convinced there are now studies by scholars and universities and clinics in Europe that have demonstrated an actual measurable decline in the brain's ability to deal with complex ideas and subjects amongst the younger generation because they are not doing serious reading. So those who say, no, my child is reading as much as you are, he's just reading it on a screen, they're not answering the question, what is he reading? If he is reading WhatsApp forwards, he is actually not facilitating the brain's, whatever neurons, or you know the right term, that are required, the neurons and synapses required to actually get you to engage with complex matter.